Welcome to Beyond the Bit Quantum Pathways, the podcast where we explore the exciting world of quantum careers. I'm Amir Rasool, your host, here to bring you inspiring stories from industry pioneers, researchers and innovators who are shaping the future. Whether you're a career changer, a curious mind or an aspiring quantum professional, this is your gateway to discovering opportunities in this groundbreaking field. Welcome to Beyond the Bit Quantum Pathways. In this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with John Riley, who's the co-founder and chief emerging technology at IMPACTIFI. John is a driving force behind IMPACTIFI's mission to accelerate global business growth by integrating advanced technologies like AI, blockchain, and quantum computing into real-world solutions. With a distinguished 30-year career in the US Navy, John now channels his leadership and technical expertise into helping organizations unlock funding, navigate international expansion, and gain a competitive edge through innovation. He's a passionate advocate for blockchain and quantum technologies, regularly sharing his insights at industry events and collaborating with startups and global partners to drive impactful change. Join us as we explore John's journey from naval command to tech innovation, his vision for the future of emerging technologies, how IMPACTIFI is empowering organizations to thrive in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. I hope you enjoyed the show. John, great to see you again.
You as well, Amir. How you been?
I've been very well, thank you. And yourself?
You know what? I couldn't be better. Trying to stay busy like you.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, we've seen quite a few of your updates, and obviously this podcast will hopefully give the listeners a bit more insight into who you are, what you do. I've already given an introduction to you, so we're going to kind of kick on. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, which was fascinating, we didn't get a chance to talk to you last time, is that you began your career in the as a US Marine during Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I always, as a young kid, wanted to be a Marine, I think, just like I remember. I played a lot of sports and stuff like that, like a lot of people in high school, especially in the U.S. Could have went to college for scholarships, but I left for the Marines 2 days after I graduated high school. So I kind of knew what I wanted to do. And then, of course, this is 1990, right? So right after I graduated, get through boot camp, Desert Shield was going on, Desert Storm. And then right out of boot camp, go over to Desert Storm. So within 6 months, like graduating high school, then I see myself in a war.
Middle East.
Yeah, Middle East and in the sand. And that could be a whole other podcast if we wanted. And then once I got out of the Marines, it was this transition into the force. So, and I leveraged that experience as I got into kind of the real world. Yeah. Definitely a lot of people talking about people in the military transition to civilian life. It is a big adjustment, and it definitely was. Because at first I thought I was going to be, a police officer, right? Yeah. Marines, military, like that. And as time went on and I started meeting some people, I got into banking and then got into software. Yeah. And when I did that, it's good.
Yeah, then, you moved to you did a decade with Oracle and SAP, didn't you?
Yes. And it was funny. It was kind of by chance. I was transitioning and I wanted to get a sales job. I worked with a recruiter and she's like, "Hey, what do you know about software technology?" And I was like, "I know how to type." That was about it. Right. She's like, "Well, this company's looking to hire." And I'm like, "Okay, well, because of the military, right? Just, teach me and I'll learn it, right? Show me how to do it." So I was like, well, if it's going to be more on the job training, not a problem. So when I got hired there and started learning about Oracle and software and what they're doing, it was more in the financial analysis software, budgeting and accounting. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, well, it speeds this process up. And I'm like, all right, this is great. And it's funny because then I started getting phone calls from police departments. It's like, "Hey, we'd like to hire you." Yeah, like, "Hey, we got this opening." And I don't know. And then at that point, I had a decision. I went, you know what? That's not the life I want to live anymore. I kind of like this software stuff. Yeah. And at that point, it was that transition of this is the world I'm going to be in. And through time and being in Oracle and software development in the early 2000s, after the dot-com bubble, things were crazy and software was, if you had a new idea and a software was being purchased. So it was a good time to be in that space and learning and picking up on things. And I kind of got into more of the consulting side and consulting services and education services and user adoption and software. And it was a fit for me because I kind of like that space because the consulting side is you're really hands-on, right? You're really, hey, how do I help you become successful now that you have this software? And a lot of people, when they look at technology, like, hey, I'm just going to buy it and it should solve all my problems. But we're like, no, there's a whole other factor that comes with. You hear it a lot with digital transformation or change management. That's the area I started going more towards with software and understanding where it fits. But how do you help people become successful? And that was kind of my careers at Oracle and SAP or SAP, like people call it. Gave me a huge foundation in the software space, right? Of understanding, especially at an enterprise level, of how globally these global organizations and software work. So to have that experience was key foundation to my career as I moved on. As I moved away from the enterprise companies and went to work for smaller boutique consulting companies, leveraging, supporting SAP or Oracle. But then 2017 hit and I got into blockchain, and
Yes.
my world turned upside down because I got into a book by a guy called Don Tapscott called Blockchain Revolution. And that blew me away. I said, what is this stuff? What is blockchain? Like, people kept saying Bitcoin, but I got so in that enterprise blockchain side that I was like, holy cow, this is going to change the world.
Yeah.
And that was the first peek at disruptive technology.
And was it that book that inspired your shift from enterprise software to emerging technologies? Obviously, that you mentioned blockchain, and
Yeah.
now, as we'll come on to later on, quantum computing.
Yeah, absolutely. That book really set the foundation because it's for me to get to technology. I'm not a super technical person, but I understand where it fits, right? Especially from a business side. For me to get into that book, I didn't put it down. Like once I started reading about and even my wife was like, what are you doing? I mean, I was up with night, I was highlighting points and going through it and researching. And the funny thing was when I got into that book, I thought I was going to learn blockchain in a weekend. I, I got up, I was like, oh, man, I'm going to take it this weekend. I'm just going to sit down and learn about blockchain. And once I went in that rabbit hole, I was like, wait a minute, this is way outside of anything I've learned the past 15, 16 years at Oracle or SAP for technology. That was the first time I kept hearing the word disruptive
Disruptive.
technology.
I was literally
Disruptive.
going to say that. Disruption, disruptive. That's what it
Yeah.
was all about, wasn't it?
That's all you heard was like, this is disruptive where, you know, executives and people like this has to change how our business was going to work moving forward.
Mhm.
That's never come, a technology had never come along that powerful before. Blockchain was the one that really put that in the minds of people of this will change moving forward, how you think about doing business. Now, the challenge with that came Bitcoin, right?
Yep.
Bitcoin blew up so big that the hype around it blinded everything of the value of the underlying technology of blockchain, the ledger part, right? Except for this like few that got into it. And through 2020, 2021, Bitcoin crashed, right? People were getting blockchain burned out. And I even got burned out. And it was like, okay, right. Well, people, oh, it's all hype and this, that, and kept focusing on Bitcoin, but that blockchain or like technology is still there and the value of it's still huge
Yeah,
for the ones that are
exactly.
still learning it, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's, I mean, we won't go into it, but it's just a
Yeah.
ledger that's, yeah, it's fantastic. I suppose that's, well, you're still in the rabbit hole now, aren't you, really?
Yeah.
So you're just in a different rabbit hole. So obviously you founded Impactify. At what point did what point did Impactify come around? I know you started around a dining room table.
Yes. So me and my other business partners and really our CEO, Teresa Cruz, came up with the idea we'd all work together at a different center of innovation. And we just all clicked together very nicely in the way we work. Camilo Bergeron, who's our global chief officer, has a lot of international experience in the past 15, 16 years. Teresa really is, from an operations standpoint, she built and established what they call in the United States, it's Nova Southeastern University Center of Innovation. So it's a 54,000 square foot center of innovation that she designed from the ground up during COVID, right? Like during COVID, designed it, built it, put the programs in, built a military grade cybersecurity range into it, AI studio, all these things, right? So her experience in that area, she's immersely in the technology space, right? But understanding how to bring an ecosystem or build an ecosystem around startups and companies that want to expand. And as we work together on a couple of different projects at a time, we were like, wow, we really get along. You know when you click with people, right? It
Sure.
just happens, and it was effortless. And it came time where she decided to move on from there. I was like, hey, I have this idea. Why don't we put this together? And we were like, me and Camille were both like, yeah, it sounds great. And that was a year ago around this time. And as we said, hey, we have good things here. Let's see what kind of traction we get or interest. And within the first 2 months, we got people that knew us going, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, can we work with you? Oh, I know somebody I want to introduce you to. And since the year, it just kind of started taking off and really got us to this point of, all right, we are providing an interest or value and filling a niche for certain people that are looking for certain types of company to help their organizations expand in a new market. And that's kind of the service we provide of international companies that want to expand or grow their companies, whether it's in Florida, the US, or other parts, whether it's Latin America or parts of Europe. but really doing it in a very strategic way, leveraging our ecosystem and relationships and making it kind of more personal.
So what's the vision? What's the vision for IMPACTIFI?
Well, it's funny because if you ask my CEO, Terry, she'll say it's take on the world and be in every country or every region. And it's really, it's, you got a big vision. Your business always got to scare you, right? But it's got to be in the lines of, we want to make sure we build an ecosystem where we are in different regions or satellite offices, helping these organizations either go there or come here, but providing programs and make that helps them strategically learn how to scale in different areas and to know if there's the right time to, right? It's like, hey, you have all these things, but you know what? You're not ready yet, or you're not ready for the VC route. You're not ready for the expansion route. Let's give you the programs that'll help you do that, but also let's make you sure you're aware of if it's technology you're aligned with, that it's the right tech, or let's align you with partners we know that can help provide value in those areas. And if it's funding, let's get you along with the right funding people. But it's leveraging those relationships in a way that it's beneficial for both organizations, for ourselves, of building a new relationship, but also for them to be successful. And if we don't think we can help you be successful, then we won't take you on as a client because it just hurts us and it hurts you as well in your time. So
So workforce development, would that encapsulate it well, or is that a good way of kind of?
Absolutely. I think holistically workforce development in various areas is a big thing, especially in emerging tech, right? You look at the gaps, the skills gaps we're already talking about just from AI, right? I know we're going to talk about quantum in a minute, but even on the AI side, right? Showing you, wow, we really missed something when AI hit full board. Not like AI hasn't been around for years, but when ChatGPT came out, this awakening for people like, whoa, whoa, and then acting like, hey, this just happened overnight. You're like, no, this was coming. But then, like any other emerging tech, even with blockchain, people just want to jump right in and not learn or understand it or prepare themselves around it. And it really comes down even to the executive of, okay, now you know this emerging tech here. How are you either upscaling your people, right, for workforce, or the workforce being built around it to support it, right, moving forward. And now because there's this gap and it's getting bigger and bigger, faster and faster because AI is moving bigger and bigger and faster, it's hard to already catch up. So now we have a focus on how do we organizations with their workforce development on that side, what kind of partners we align with on that training and education side, whether it's cybersecurity, AI, blockchain, now quantum. How do we connect them with that talent that they can go after? And I think that's what's missing right now. And I think if, especially for quantum, it needs to be done even earlier than AI.
Yeah.
Because this is one that's going to move quadruply faster than AI did once it gets commercialized.
Yeah, and I think AI has been the kind of test bed or test ground that we've all learned from mistakes and successes, and actually, this is where we can do it better and brighter and faster with quantum. So what brought you in IMPACTIFI into quantum, or is it just you keeping an eye on emerging tech?
No, it's funny. Terry, our CEO, she aligned with a partner here in the U.S. that was doing some initiatives in Florida around quantum, and asking for her support on kind of like we're getting funding in the grant side, and she threw it out to me, and she's like, "We need to get into quantum." And last year at this time, I'm not gonna lie, Mayor, I was like, "Quantum?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." What are you talking? 10, 15 years away? I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And of course, just like blockchain, I went and started looking up and I see what's going on, and I was like, "Holy crap!" I'm like, "This is." And the more I looked, I kind of sat up and I was like, wow, and getting stories about who's doing what in the countries and organizations. And it was like Quantinium and IRQ and then D Wave. And I'm like, what are you? I'm like, whoa, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, what? Simulation apps. I'm like, who's doing? I'm like, what? And then what countries are doing what? And it was like, when I started looking at what countries were doing, that's when it hit me. It was like, oh, yes, we need to be in the quantum. And
Yeah. What hit me was one similar to you. I recruited in AI and a lot of emerging tech, and that kind of veered me towards quantum, which I've mentioned in this podcast previously. And then I started researching it, and then similar to you, start to hear IQM. All these companies and all these different countries have got their little pockets of companies, and the UK being fantastic. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier with Cambridge, and then I started seeing the government involvement and the government, because it's not really an industry that is making a lot of money right now, but they're putting money into it. And I'm like, well, okay. If there are billions being put in from a governmental level, there's something here which I need to be aware of. And that kind of put me down the path of quantum.
No, it's
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned obviously the importance of partnerships and
yeah,
education, and obviously workforce development, which is Impactify. I know that you've recently partnered with QURECA, which is well, I know them for quantum training and workforce
yeah,
readiness. But if you could tell us a little bit about them and the partnership.
yeah. As Araceli, she's amazing. When I
Yeah,
met her, and I and I, like I said, what I like to do is when I get to any technology, just start reaching out to people on LinkedIn going, hey, can you help me understand things better? Right? What are you doing over there? And because she's over in España, I was like, what are you guys doing in Spain, especially in training? I see you've been and she was willing to hop on a call with me. And that's kind of how the conversation started was, hey, I'm getting into it. I think in the US, workforce is going to be a big thing. We definitely would love to align with a type of quantum training partner to say this could be an opportunity for people that would be early adopters, right, of quantum. And we had another call later on, and and just like, hey, would you be interested in partnering with us? And she's like, yeah, and I was flattered, right?
yeah,
I mean, she's been doing this for years, and I'm like, hey, how do we do this in a way that is beneficial for QURECA and going how do we align strategically to put the right information out there? But the biggest thing right now is all the awareness.
yeah,
And because they bring this very great skill set, understanding, experience, they didn't just start overnight. They've been in it for a few years, like past 6, 7 years. That's validation of we're in this space. After talking with her, the amount of people she knows in this space
yeah,
that know her, case in point, go, okay, yes, you're in this ecosystem. Saw names like, yeah, I know so and so. Yeah, oh, you talk to so and so. It's funny how big the world is, but this circle is like, oh, I know you come across so and so. They're like, yeah. And I talked to talking about Sierra and earlier, and I was just like, okay, wow, I'm talking to the right people, like people that can help me understand if what I'm talking about is real, is it wrong, validate, hey, that's not the message you should be saying. Here's exactly where how far along quantum is, but they should be aware of this. I'm like, perfect. Because that helps me going, I'm talking to experienced people that could shoot down and it's not going out there putting out false information
yeah, yeah.
about, hey, quantum's doing everything. But no, it's not. But the ones that are preparing for it, and I think you brought up a great point before of the governments that are already investing in it.
Yes.
Like, the UK, Australia,
Everywhere.
Dubai, Japan, the US now
Yeah,
finally a lot more strategically thinking. And in, the big players like China, right? You see the initiatives these countries are pushing that going, we really need to be prepared for this. And we
yeah,
really need to be prepared for the workforce and everything like that. This is not like AI. And I think, like you say, we can't make that mistake again of being, oh, they're still figuring out standards around AI and,
yeah.
regulations. Quantum is, that one that let's get it right. And I
Let's
think,
get it right. And
yeah,
it's interesting, fascinating. Araceli actually gave me some really good advice, similar to yourself, last year when I was looking into recruitment. And I love just the honesty of it. And she said, look, it is a great area. It may not be
yeah.
the right area right now, but we all need to push in the right direction to make sure that it's all going smoothly and forward. So for those that don't know QURECA, what would you give it as a strapline for the company? What is it that they do?
I mean, their biggest thing, I think, it's really helping organizations and companies prepare for quantum
Yeah,
early, right? And I like her approach is really this the to me, it's always the executives, right? That have to grasp it and understand it, not from a technical standpoint, but feel comfortable of understanding here's the value, here's where it's going to impact you moving forward. And I think the way QURECA and Australia take that approach and experience with it of understanding what needs to be said is what needs to be out there.
yeah,
You're going to have lots of training companies out there, especially given another 6 months, quantum given another 2 months, and they're going to be showing up left and right. Oh, we're teaching quantum. That's great, right? But will it resonate? Will it connect with the people in the class? Will an executive want to sit through it and go, I got value out of that training class. Now I can give very strategic messages to my company of why in the next few years we're moving into quantum. And I think that's what Eureka they do very well already is crafting that messaging.
it's funny that people have been coming up to me, say, "Oh yeah, we're offering quantum training courses and with this," and I'm like, "How are you? What, what is this called? What is this quantum trading course that you're offering? Because I don't understand it, and I'm quite immersed in the field. And it's like, oh yeah, and this one guy came up. Sorry, it's a bit of a segue.
Go.
And he put this. He had a website, and it was all, and he had quantum on there, and all these things that he was offering from quantum. I was like, none of this is proven yet, really. But you're offering trading on it, and he's like, okay. So it is, it's fascinating. But this is what I love is that it is the ground works upwards, people doing it right, etc.
Yes.
Future-proofing careers, talking to
Yeah.
organizations and making sure that they're aware of what's coming, and so on.
And it's validating. It's funny because Araceli came over to visit during the eMERGE conference that I was talking about with you earlier in Miami, the one that's, the biggest conference in Florida, working with a lot of international companies. Araceli was able to come and visit our whole team for the first time. But having her there was great, right? Because you had a quantum section and people talking about quantum, and having someone like her validate if they knew what they were talking about was great. That's comforting to know, to work with experienced people. Like you're saying, you're coming across people are going to be throwing up, hey, we're doing quantum training, come see us, da da da. You're like, how long have you been doing this? Oh, we've been doing training for years. Like, no, that's not what I asked you. How long have you been doing quantum for, right? Not how much long have you been in training.
Yeah.
Then it's different, right? And that she brings that.
Yeah, and I think which was leading me into the sort of executive leadership is what popped into my head there. And it's crucial for executives to understand quantum technologies. Why, in your opinion, is that?
I think because it's one working, at Oracle and SAP and stuff like that, and large organizations that have spent, seeing them, see organizations that spent millions on software, millions of dollars, right? And you hear about the digital transformation failure rate, right? Between 70 to 80% of companies fail because it's not really led by the leadership or senior leadership team on how do we implement this new technology? How do we prepare people, right? Getting the executive suite prepared for quantum, I think, is going to be essential for the adoption of it, right? For understanding what's real and what's hype. How do we leverage it beneficial for us in our sector, right? And then who are the strategic people we should be working with that either know what they're talking about, right? We have the different blockchain, kind of like pillars out there and platforms, from Quantinium to IonQ to D-Wave, but understanding which one's going to be the best fit for me, that as well. So that initial education, right, and is needed for them to feel comfortable. And I'm not, some executives, they do have egos, right? They don't want to admit what they don't know or admit like, hey, but it's come down to the fact with emerging tech that executives can no longer push this off to their IT people to give them the answer, right? They have to be involved. You look at cybersecurity, you look at AI now, right? All these things that if you're not with the basic understanding, not even a deep dive in a rabbit hole, the basic understanding of the value, where it fits, the use cases, and how it's going to affect you, how are you going to lead your company in that space? And it's no longer, I'll wait till the next guy gets them and see what happens. Quantum, you can forget it, right? You can forget if you want to wait till the next guy. If he's already figured it out way before it went commercial, you're going to blink your eye, and that's a wrap at that point. And then it's understanding the convergence. We're going to talk about this, other emerging tech, AI and blockchain and quantum. How is that going to affect you? So to me, it starts with the leadership always.
100%. Funny enough, one of your older companies, SAP or SAP, I call it either.
Yeah.
It depends who I'm talking to. I can't remember his name for the love of my money right now, but he's the head of quantum in Germany, and it just goes to show they're one of the biggest companies in the world, and they've been preparing for years. And he said, like, when the tech hits the level that we need it to hit, we're ready. We can just jump in and go, and that's fascinating, isn't it?
It's huge, and I think the real big visionaries that see that already, right? Even in the U.S., one of those is J.P. Morgan, the bank,
Yes.
right? They talked about getting the quantum back in 2018, and now 2018, everybody's focused on blockchain, and they were as well. But nobody knew they were focused on quantum. I didn't know until recently. I was doing some research, and I was like, "Holy crap! You were already thinking about quantum then, right?" The real visionaries are already like SAP and everybody else already have that strategic plan in place of it's moving faster, and then when it pops up, and now it's like okay, but they can validate, hey, we've been doing it and preparing this since 2016, 2017. Now things are at that place of we've done the research, we've made the relationships, we have the right training to do these things. then it's different, right? Because with any emerging tech, you know, people pop up like dandelions and weeds out of everywhere, and I'm the expert. I'm the expert, and you're like, yeah, I'm that. It really is. But I think I love that part about being an emerging tech, of being able to validate and work with people saying, hey, I'm not a super expert in AI, but you know what? I know a lot of people that are very, very good in this space where I can reach out to and going, I know this, but hey, does this sound right to you? Should somebody focus on that? That's different. Yeah.
That's it, and that's how I see business these days. There's a film called Layer Cake, and he says the art of business is being a good middleman. And that's how I see it. You say, look, okay, hey, look, I don't know, but I do know somebody who does know. Let me put you in touch with them,
Yeah.
and let them put you in touch with them, etc. And get people talking to the right people.
Yeah.
Um, and then that's how we all grow. Yeah, it's like said,
Yeah.
segue there.
No, I think it's perfect because at the end of the day, and I think even with our company Impactify, the biggest thing people always ask is, how can I help you? And I'm first thing, word on my mouth is relationships. Like I love good, authentic relationships where I can have a conversation with someone and it's not about, hey, can we help you with your services? It's more lines of, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what we're doing. What do you do? Hey, you know what? I should probably introduce you to somebody that I think would know.
Mm.
And going, it could be a year later where it circles back around and we're doing some business together. But during this time, it's more in the lines of, yes, you're building this kind of credibility in this circle,
Mhm.
right? That it is very fragile because once people feel that you're trying to be something you're not in the space, that's it. You push aside like, oh, that's great. But people know, like, yeah, I'm really in this to meet people, learn from them, connect the dots with other people, reach out to people internationally, globally, build other strategic relationships that, hey, might not benefit me, but it can benefit you guys, right? And same thing with you, Amir. I was like, hey, actually, who can I introduce Amir to that? Hey, that can benefit him as he's growing his podcast and growing this connection of recruiting. It's validating, hey, he's supporting people right now, even when it's not benefiting him, say financially,
Yeah.
but it's doing the right thing in early stages to me that brings the biggest value. Like Araceli told you, like, you're not gonna make money now. And
Yeah.
we see that because
Yeah.
there's so much education that has to happen. But the relationships when it's built, when it does come, people go, yeah, you're worthy of me working with you.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite important, the effectiveness of these education programs going forward in preparing leaders. Um, where are we with that, in your opinion? So that's something QURECA is focused on as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's still an upcoming battle, right? And I think it's always going to be. Hopefully not forever, but I think that's something that always comes to the forefront of me when I talk to people of, you really got to need to get executive teams up to speed on this. You really need to start there, regardless. I think we talked about the examples of, you had blockchain, people rushed into it, no one knew a clue in it, but I just need to have it. Why?
Yeah.
AI. I know I need to have AI. Well, that's great. Why? What are you trying to solve? Right? Now you have quantum, right? So it's like those third strike, right? Here it is again. You have an opportunity to really prepare so early on, unlike never before, that you can really be prepared to take advantage of it. And if the messaging can sink in with one or two and it starts to sink in, then it is. And I think it's different because when you're seeing government agencies, normally they don't rush into tech fast,
Yeah.
investing. Someone's gotten in their ear and told them, prepare now.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's starting to happen even in the US and different states over here, where now states have these initiatives of, Colorado is doing quantum training K through 12. Huge states like Ohio, and then you have Maryland over here, and then South Carolina, and now Tennessee. You're seeing this investment, people going, we really need to pay attention now, unlike before with this technology, and holding back innovation of, oh, let's just clamp it down because we don't know anything now. Now they're like, okay, I want to learn because I don't want to get left behind this time. And I love seeing that. It's just a matter of it trickling down to executives and businesses or local government agencies understanding, why should I be preparing for it? And and you point the finger, go, because XYZ company is already company doing it. XYZ country has already
Yeah.
been doing it. That's different. Like, they must have already invested and done research. So why
Yeah.
would you still want to wait?
Yeah, exactly. So in your view, which countries are leading in preparing for their economies and workforces for quantum tech?
That's a good question, right? There's a lot that we have a good focus on it, and the UK is definitely one of them, right? Without a doubt. Australia, the US is really now put a lot of focus on it. I think IBM announced 2 days ago they're investing like $150 billion
I
into
saw that.
quantum in the
Yeah.
US. Yeah, like, over the next 5 years. And that was huge because there was a complaint that the US wasn't investing enough. And they have this AI and quantum initiative now around it. So, and I think the conversation around workforce isn't been enough, in my opinion, because I think that should be at the forefront. Because a lot of talk about, hey, how do we do testing and simulations? That's great, right? You're going to have that pockets of the very technical people where that's coming to play. The people you really focus on are the users, right? The end users, the people in the space that need to learn it and understand where it fits. And that's the workforce to prepare for when it is ready, right? And unlike before, this workforce needs to be developed way ahead of time, right? From like before. I mean, and I read, of course, in the Quantum Insider, I call it like my inside little
Isn't it?
little knocker thing.
Yeah.
When I read China, they got rid of like 99 core courses to focus just on AI and quantum workforce classes. And I was like, that says a lot, right? You're going to get 99 core courses that have only been in colleges, put those on hold because you want to have AI workforce ready, classes ready. That's a push where people are like, I'm seeing the future. And if we can be in this space and I can have the workforce built around it, that's what it's taking. And I think the more awareness, like things that you're doing, right? This awareness of bringing information out of, hey, what's just going on globally? This is what other people are doing. Here's how well they're focused on it. Unlike before, you probably start paying attention a little bit. And case in point, me last year. And I talked to people like, yeah, quantum 15, 20 years away. The CEO of NVIDIA, same thing, right?
Yeah. And then backtracks.
Yeah. Oh, what I meant to say was.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's funny talking about Araceli rather. That was her advice to me, and that's the kind of, as a result of that, that's the mission statement behind this podcast. So I was, I'm a recruiter by career, many years. So my whole perspective was, I'll find people, put them into jobs, etc. You get paid for your work, and so on. And she turned around to me and very honestly, she said, "Look at me. If that's your perspective, you're not going to make money. This isn't going to be the avenue for you." And obviously, I was like, first and foremost, I was like, no, I think I can do it better. And then I kind of looked into it more and more, and she's 100% right, 100% right. And I really, really appreciate her honesty to me on that. And then I thought, well, actually, it's similar to you. It's just, I love emerging tech, and I thought this is a space that I want to be in. But also, the more I delved into it, the more I realized actually, a lot of people don't know about this tech. A lot of people don't know about the roles. A lot of the roles we don't even know. So I'm like, well, how do we educate? How do I fit into this ecosystem? How do I help it? So I thought, let's do this Beyond the Bit Quantum Pathways. And it's about demystifying careers. And it's talking to everybody. And everybody that talks has an idea and is given that little bit more knowledge. So people are becoming more informed and start looking at it. Kids, like you mentioned in China, you've got these courses now from high school onwards. We need these courses as well. So if we can get to the younger generation who are coming through and give them good, solid advice and guidance, then I think we're doing a good job. And that's kind of like my mission statement right now.
And I think that's perfect because I think that should be the mission statement for everyone because it should be quantum for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You make it easy to understand and be included in this emerging tech space and the conversations around it. That like, okay, and I tell people, yeah, I'm glad there's a lot of college quantum courses. That's great. You know what? It's the younger generation that are going to be in this life for the rest, the K through 12, right? The younger kids. And it's funny because last year I did this executive Linux foundation quantum course and just to get a basic understanding of where it was. And in there, kind of going through the quiz, like when should people start learning about quantum? And I'm, automatically, because of the way we're trained, college. They're like, no, K through 12. And I was like, what? I was like, then it hit me. He's like, there's a reason because that's your generation. It needs to start preparing now. That's going to be living in this quantum space way before the people that are already around right now. And I was like, that makes sense. Yeah. But then how do you make it easy, right? One, for the teachers, right, to understand it and feel comfortable talking about it. And then two, bring in the right curriculum where they can do that, where they can put it in and just have the conversation. And it's not super technical going down the rabbit hole. And, it's like, hey, let's build you up to understanding everything around, right?
Yeah.
So.
An interesting thing that just reminded me of, I had a conversation with somebody about AI agents, etc. And I'm sure, and we've talked about this. I mean, I use them all. I use Copilot, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, everything for lots of different reasons that I like.
Each one has their strengths.
Yeah, they do. Like Perplexity is pretty good for deep diving. Anyway, and obviously we're men of a certain age. Yeah, we're quite into our tech. And it was my friend's wife said, she said, our kids are going to grow up with these AI agents as a very natural thing. We're looking at them and going, oh, can you write this for me? Can you do this for me? They're going to have them as associates or,
Yep.
Jarvis from
Ah,
Iron Man, for want of a better way of
it
putting it.
is.
They're going to grow up
It
with
is.
this,
Yeah.
and it's going to grow with them. And and I was like, that's crazy.
And that's going to be quantum, right? Because the
Exactly.
AI is going to be sitting on top of quantum, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. They're all going to be ingrained together. The convergence is there
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We're learning about it as it's happening. They will live in a world where they won't even think about AI, quantum, and stuff like that. It'll just be second nature, which
Doesn't it
is a
make you want to
scary
jump
thing.
forward 20 years just to see where it's at? Sometimes you go,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
just a little peek.
yeah. Right? I'm like, wow, we're able to do that now.
Yeah.
But it scares me just even now, right?
Yeah.
Even with AI,
Yeah.
like from AI agents to agentic agents, and I went, what? So they're like, okay, that's yesterday's news.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ask
Exactly.
yourself, 2 years ago, like we weren't talking about agents to where we're talking about agents now. When ChatGPT, it was like agentic agents, like okay, they go out and learn on their own and do their own goals and everything else. They're like, wait, it goes on itself. I don't have to give it a prompt. We weren't even thinking about that a year ago.
Yeah.
Now it's that quick. And same thing with quantum. When we hear all the bullet points and news of people pushing forward and getting faster and doing different things, you're like, wow, a year ago they weren't even talking about the quantum. Now they are.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
they're saying, when you get Bill Gates and his guys in Google saying, no, really, it's 3 to 5 years away. And these are people that are in this space saying things that we wouldn't be thinking about thinking, like, really, 3 to 5 years away? Like, wow,
And they
it
have
is
teams
moving
that are
that
doing this
fast.
day in, day out.
Day out.
Super bright minds doing this day
Yes.
in, day out. So they
Yeah,
know,
this is their world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's very interesting, actually. One of the things that I think needs to be looked at as well is establishing international standards and ethical guidelines.
I agree.
That's going to be important.
I think the collaboration, right, or international collaboration is going to be huge, in my opinion, right? This wanting to work together on standards, build the collaborations, and you kind of hear it in pockets of different countries doing that, right, with each other. I think Japan and India we're doing some things together, or trying to just build this ecosystem of, hey, how do we build the right standards around it, or the regulations, or the guardrails?
Yeah.
And it's a funny thing because I remember with blockchain, they used to have these consortiums, right, where even competitors, would get together, even though they didn't, like each other, but they would talk about, hey, we're in the same industry, we're supply chain. How do we make sure we leverage this technology that works for all of us in the same way? So if you're using a block, and I think with quantum, it's even more, the collaboration internationally is important
Mhm.
because you're learning from each other,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's doing something. Everybody's got pockets. Every country's got very highly intelligent people,
Yeah.
right? That are figuring things out faster than the other ones in certain areas and going, hey, we did this. What about you guys? Hey, we did this. We're thinking about, that's where stuff gets done, right?
Yeah.
Not in
Yeah.
silos. And I think with
Yeah.
quantum,
Exactly.
you can't be in a silo with quantum.
Yeah, I was talking to Anna Hedegaard about this on a previous podcast. And I think one of the problems we've got right now is we're at a bit of a crossroads where a lot of countries are talking about sovereignty, bringing things back on shore, be it
Yeah.
data centers or whatever. But for this to move forward, I think you need a certain amount of globalization and international collaboration.
Yeah. And I think it's needed, right? I think emerging tech is global, right? It's not just stuck in one country or one country owns it. Emerging tech is all about the globalization of it. And I think blockchain, to me, set that on its path because of Bitcoin, because no one owned that, right? Nobody owned that,
Yeah.
the core thing and the technology around it. That was the thing, right? It was just, store of value that everyone had access to. And it wasn't just somebody's store, it was everyone's store of value in Bitcoin. But that made it so globally accessible that for the first time, right, a technology could be shared globally by everyone. And it didn't matter. You could be in Africa, you could be in South America. Everybody had access to it just the same as anybody else that was rich, poor, didn't matter. That never happened before.
But I also
And I
think
think
I
with
think that blockchain was also kind of a bit of a middle finger up to the establishment as well, wasn't it?
it's absolutely, I mean, and that's what the disruption was about, right?
Exactly.
That's what disrupted. Like, I can't control this. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have a say in this.
Yeah. But
That's
we
unheard
do.
of.
We the people have a say in it, which is
We the
fantastic.
people.
Yeah.
And it gave power where it wasn't there, and it gave trust where it wasn't there. And I think with quantum, right, that we're learning from that example of, hey, everybody's included now. Everybody has access to it. We're all learning about this. So it's all going to affect every one of our lives in this world, some way, shape, or form. How do we not just do this in a way that benefits all of us at the same time? Every country is going to have access to it. It's going to have businesses around it, right? An ecosystem around it. Tie these ecosystems together in a way that everyone, can be international with it. And it's that type of approach. I'm not going to say things like that happen overnight. They never do. But I think when there's conversations and you kind of hear about it, and I kind of read about it at some of the conferences that have been going on globally, of those type of conversations happening, you hear it. And I was like, well, that's great to hear. I think that's when I was talking to Sierra, I was like, hey, how are those conversations going here? It's like, no, a lot of people are talking about the collaboration. And I think the workforce development part, though, is probably, to me, it should always still be at the top, because even though we're doing that, it's like, how do we prepare the global workforce so one entity or one country or one area doesn't own all the workforce around it? It's like we all need to build a workforce that supports all of it holistically. So how do we do that?
Exactly. Wow, we could go on, couldn't we? So I suppose looking ahead slightly, what trends in quantum are you most excited about from what you've heard so far?
I think there's a few. I mean, from the healthcare side, right? I love what the diseases and drug discoveries and all those things. And I talking to someone about it, I said, just think if quantum was around during COVID, right? How fast would that a vaccination have been found if quantum was in play during COVID, right? And it's things like that, where you see this kind of a technology actually saving lives, solving diseases that have never been solved before, that have been out for years and generation, right? And how, you know, it can change that. And you look at financing and you look at, what it can do for analysis. But I think the trends of seeing the convergence of the technologies coming together, right? The value now of all this, trivergence, you can call it. I call it my trivergence. Some people have different ones. My trivergence is blockchain, AI, and quantum.
Yes.
That's my trivergence of emerging tech.
Yeah.
And I see it because you have blockchain, the secure ledger of transaction, validating this is a real data transaction that no one can change. Perfect. You have AI, all right, we're going to analyze, and you have quantum scaling it. Boom.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. This three-prong approach, they all are important and they all work. And one, they can stand on their own if they have to, but all three together, mind-boggling what they can do together if you leverage it and what it could solve problem-wise. And I like seeing that trend of seeing these technologies come together in a way that we never envisioned before, right? We weren't envisioning these things a year and a half ago with AI and blockchain. You can see AI and blockchain come together. Now you throw quantum in and you're like, that's a whole other dynamic.
It
That's
blows
a
my
whole
mind.
other.
So I mean, it's a tough question to ask, and but I do it on purpose sometimes because I have no idea how to answer that, because I can't even see what it's going to do. But interestingly, the pharmaceuticals drug discovery. I was talking to a guy called Yanis at Akora, who's going to be on a podcast as well, and we mentioned the same thing. So prior to this, I was recruiting in data science and machine learning, and then COVID kicked in, and we all kind of pivoted towards pharmaceuticals because of the vaccines and so on.
Yeah.
And which was great. But then the VCs, as VCs do, pumped a lot of money into it, but then realized that actually this could take 5 years and it could not work. It might not work. And we, because they saw, Moderna and Pfizer making a shitload of money on my French, but it's true. And they're like, we want a piece of that pie. So they threw in a lot of money, realized, actually something could be working on this for 5 years and we're not going to get anywhere and lose all our money. So they pulled all the money out. So a lot of these young biotech companies, etc., who were funded just went under because of the time frame that was involved. So, and they're all working in such wonderful fields. Stuff that, disease I didn't even think about and know about, but I learned a lot about them. So that's what excites me, that quantum will be able to speed up the process and solve problems that we've got worldwide.
Yeah. And that's like anything else in emerging tech that's disruptive. What we never thought was possible is now becoming more possible faster than we thought, right? Yeah. It's, moving at a pace that none of us have ever seen. Right. And to me, and it's like, and we were in this space. Now, I mean, we're in this space. The common person that's not in this space and not even thinking about it, right? They don't see it yet. But for us that are in this space and we're seeing it, one, I don't think I'm learning. Every day I wake up, I don't think I'm learning enough or fast enough, right? Because it moves so fast. Two, and it's like, okay, what am I missing? right? And then three, okay, wow, people don't realize what just happened the past year when it comes to technology of holy crap. So when you are pushing things like AI and people and they're like, I'm scared of AI, it's going to take over the world. Like, no, just understand the value of it. And then you won't be as scared of this technology once you start learning about it, right? And here's a point for me. I mean, it is becoming scary because I'm like, holy crap. And it's, you have to digest of, we're at that level now. We're at that level where it is becoming scary for me. Like, what else can be done? Because with everything that good also comes the thing that's bad, right? You look at cybersecurity, right? AI is great for cybersecurity and it's also bad for cybersecurity, right? Quantum is great for cybersecurity, it was also going to be bad for cybersecurity. So you're seeing this, the good and the bad, you know, the yin and the yang of it. So understanding, hey, there's going to be the good side, the bad side. How do you understand? Make sure you understand both where it plays, but don't be afraid that you don't want to adopt it. That's always been the challenge of once people are afraid of tech, they don't want to adopt it, they don't want to be around it. But once you say, here's what it can do, what it can't do, here are the challenges with it, then okay, let's bring it more into a conversation consistently, and not just when a new breakthrough comes through, like, oh, use this stuff. Really, where'd this come from?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
that's the thing. Yeah,
Right. I think we could go on for hours, but I think we're going to run out of
I know.
time pretty soon. But the interesting thing is, what I just thought is, the good thing about this podcast now between you and I, this is like a timestamp. What
Yeah,
we'll do is we can revisit this at some point in the future and listen to it and go, oh, actually, okay, where are we now? But
yeah.
also saying that 6 months time, let's get on another conversation again between you and I.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
yeah. So what's on the agenda for Impactify going forward? What's the next 3 months, 6 months look like?
3 to 6 months looks up for us is really working with companies that do want to come to the U.S. I know there's been you know, the U.S. is in a very unfamiliar place,
Mhm.
right? You know, we have a new administration in place with different views and ways of how they want to work with the globe, but there are still companies that want to come here, right?
Yeah.
They
Oh,
still want to
yeah.
work in the U.S. And I think for us, that's where we think we can provide the best value of understanding, hey, here's where you want to work. Here's why. Here are some relationships so we can help you take away the anxiety of moving to the U.S. and understanding where will you fit best, right? We have it from relationships with hospitals to even immigration lawyers, right? For that purpose right there of understanding, hey, here's the ecosystem. Here's how to prepare you where you're not nervous that you can't be successful, right? Or have to worry about your organization. I think we're kind of in a good position, in my opinion, because that's what we want to do is help companies navigate this ecosystem in a way that it does make it easy for them. And it's less of a risk. It's more of a strategic risk. Now it's like, okay, I feel comfortable that I have people that really care about my success and can walk me into very strategic relationships from day one. It's not coming into, all right, I'm going to give you money, this money, and I hope this works out. I'm going to cross my fingers and everything else. It's, hey, you know, and I feel like you're welcome, right? Because I've lived in different countries and whenever you go somewhere, it's hard. You want to feel like you're welcomed or you're invited or, you know, you're not like frowned
Accepted.
upon. Yeah, you're accepted. And that's, you know, that's the feeling I think we bring, right? And also want to portray that people, once you speak with us, it's more than just, hey, let me just sell you on our services. It's more lines of, we actually care about your success and that you will feel happy about moving to the US with your business. And if we can help support that, then let us help you support you.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, I think that's probably a wrap for today. But what I'll do is obviously when we post this, I'll make sure there's links to Impactify, to QURECA,
Yep.
and to yourself, John, so people will be
No,
able to
thank you.
connect with you. Thank you so much. Like I said, we could talk for hours on
I
this,
know.
which is great.
Absolutely.
But we have run out of time on this one. But thank you very much for joining me. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
You as well, man. Thank you very much for inviting me. And you know, I look forward to it next time we talk.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. And that's a wrap on today's Quantum Adventure. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, share it with a fellow quantum enthusiast, and leave us a review. It helps us reach much more curious minds. If you have any questions or feedback, please reach out at beyondthebit.quantum@gmail.com. Stay tuned for more exciting explorations into the world of quantum careers. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Until then, keep exploring the quantum possibilities.